Meeting to order. Ron, could you take the roll call?
Yep. Silver, yes. Split.
Here.
Yep. Gallup.
Here.
And Walker, not here.
We do have a quorum. I'll need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Mr. Penn, my pen ran out.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, motion by Billy,
I'll second.
second by Dave, to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And Matt is here.
Matt is here.
Let him get undressed and then I'll carry on. We might have started a minute early.
Yeah, I was like, looking, I was like, perfect timing. And I was like, oh, now I'm like, oh, no, perfect timing.
Okay, we just approved tonight's agenda. We'll need a motion to approve the past minutes.
I'll make a motion.
And I will second.
Okay, motion by Dave, second by Billy, to approve last meeting's minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Financial report is the same. I don't know if it was even in
Not
here.
even.
I didn't
Not
even
even.
see it.
Okay.
No.
I don't think we need it every month unless
Right.
we have.
Yeah, unless there's a
Let's
change.
use it.
Okay, public comment. Okay, I looked over at Steve and he says no. So, certificate of appropriateness applications. The one we have first is 101 Blackburn Street. It's in the packet. Andrew Wardula, and it's for a sign. He's here tonight. If we have any questions.
Start. I'll make a motion to approve that. Sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Dave, second by Matt. Discussion. My discussion on it is, it was not reviewed by the building inspector, so I possibly change your motion to contingent upon approval of the building inspector.
I can do that, so say is done.
Okay.
Now, I'll redo my
Okay.
second.
It's just because of the square footage,
Yes.
and this sign is going against the building, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I don't know if there's a height when it attaches to the building, if there's a height,
Oh, gotcha.
and it's 4 foot by 3 foot, so it's really only 12 square feet, but I would
was
like.
going under the assumption that that's just where it was gonna fit underneath, and that's why you made the sign the way you did.
Right. And in the past, with the old inspector, she would go through this and, kind of approve it or approve with conditions. She'd always
Right.
have that. So your motion is
To approve
to approve
pending
pending building inspector.
inspector
Okay.
approving it.
And that was okay with Matt?
Yeah.
You said it.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Any questions for the owner? Or do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I did submit it to the new building inspector with the photo,
Okay.
and it's not gonna stick up over the parapet wall. of the
Okay.
building. So if that's what you were wondering.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering, but in this form, the building inspector is supposed to look at it and give us a heads up on if there's something wrong, or if she okays it, or says.
Yeah, I was kind of assuming it was already done, so.
Well, she didn't, yeah, or she didn't do that
They-
on the form,
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
No problem, yeah. Okay. Letter B.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Letter B didn't come through. I was kind of given a heads up on 303 and 305 Watson, but it didn't come through yet, so we'll
Okay.
skip that. update on 107 and a half Watson Street, the windows that are non-compliant. I don't know if everybody saw this letter. It's from, I think it was from our other meeting that I passed it around. And I'll just say that upon recommendation, we should tonight have a motion and vote on denying that building permit that we approved that night, way back a year and a half ago. We approved it contingent on them filling in the arch top right away. But we all know the story where they were there the next day, put them in,
And they still haven't complied.
and they still haven't
with
complied.
that.
So Adam and I talked, and Adam's recommendation is we just deny it, which would kick in the appeal process, which then if they want to take it to common council to get it approved or not approved, that's up to them to do that.
Have they been getting, I know they were getting letters, was there a fine?
As far as I understand, there's really no fine that can be done yet until we deny
It's a process we have
the
to do.
process, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought, just doing it so we're clear.
And then it's up to council,
Yeah.
if they want to approve it or deny it also, and then it can start with
Okay.
the other process.
Well, what's the best way to do that? Because basically, we said it's okay as long as you do this, and they have not done this. So
Correct.
why would we take it, I mean, they're still just not compliant.
Well, they've got 2
So-
years, kind of.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
I'm kind
So-
of confused on
okay.
how to really do this.
So, a few things. I think since we have been talking about this for over a year, right?
Yes.
There's a process that, you know, a certificate of appropriateness in the ordinance is supposed to follow when someone comes to this body to get a project approved, right? So, looking back at it all, now, in December of '23, this body made a motion to approve contingent upon the arch top windows.
Yep.
At that time, that was the project that was submitted without the arch top, and the day later, they came in and did the project. At that point, there was never a denial, there was never a building permit issued, they just did the project, right? I believe Sue Leahy had tried on multiple occasions to contact the contractor, who is long gone from the project, but to say, you didn't have a building permit and you didn't do the arch top windows. Please look into that. What we have learned since then, directly from the contractor, in my understanding, there was never an intention of the contractor or the project to have arch top windows. He provided an email to Sue that was forwarded to John, that was forwarded to me, saying that in September of '23, the order was placed. In late October, the windows were delivered. October 24th, they submitted a permit application to the building inspector. The 31st, they were notified that they needed historic review upon review of the building permit. And that would be scheduled for December 6th, okay? By that point, they had already ordered and had the windows delivered.
Okay.
November 15th, Vicky came to City Hall to discuss the delay in the permit, and there would be no issue with permitting process. We would be okay to schedule the project. The urgency was due to the units being unoccupied and attempting to complete the project before a scheduled tenant's arrival into the space upstairs. They received a pamphlet on November 16th talking about the requirements, which talked about the filling of the glass above. By this time, the already custom windows had been manufactured, shipped, received. right? So the contractor, who is not the problem at this point, because they're long gone, has said, you know, this is what happened, right? There's a conversation in there stating that the property owner was told that there wouldn't be an issue in November by I don't know who, but I'm assuming talking to the building inspector. None of my staff talked to anybody about this, right? It came to this body in the beginning of December, and it was approved contingent upon, like we said.
Yep.
Next day, boom, they're in. Okay? So this body in the ordinance has, you know, basically a process set up to say, you approve, you deny, you have 45 days to act on something or schedule a public hearing, 60 days to get it to the common council, so you're not overly delaying somebody's project, right? With no, you know, with no denial, there leaves kind of this open, well, there was never then the ability to appeal or have a public hearing or discuss this, have the common council officially authorize the certificate of appropriateness, right? That never happened.
Right.
The building inspector sat on the permit and just waited for the contractor to respond.
And he never did.
They never did.
Okay.
The property owner did not respond, and here we sit, right? And there appears to be no intention of doing the archtop windows. Craig has been working with Vicky to put together a rendering to enhance the outside of the building, but obviously, just thinking that through, if somebody has spent $10,000 on new windows, or whatever they spend, they're probably not going to replace those again for
10, 20 years.
right? So you know, it's up to this body to decide how to proceed. At some point, there likely should have been in the January meeting or something when there was an understanding that this wasn't going to go this way, and no one was going to you know, they just drug it out basically.
Right.
A denial to say no, we don't agree with that, then it would have kicked things off a little bit. So now we're sitting here looking a year and a half later or a year later saying, what do we do? We sent the letter. There are in the ordinance penalties for not following the ordinance, including stop work orders, which I believe was issued for this. But it doesn't matter when the work has already stopped because it's done, right?
Yeah.
So there's a process of fining. But my conversation with John was, you know, oh, we fine them or we warn them, right? I'm not necessarily comfortable fining someone or having a building inspector fine someone a year later for a project that never went through the process.
Right.
And got denied and had a chance to work its way through. There is, I believe, the desire to do a bigger project in the future, and Craig was working on renderings. Whether that happens or not, or that matters to today's conversation, that's up to you all. I don't have anything to share regarding that. That's just been discussed because trying to somehow, you know, move this forward without causing even larger delays or problems, because you do have the authority if someone does violate this to fine them. But again, in talking it with Ludd as well, just saying, look, this process never really panned out, and we are kind of outside of that window of the ordinance saying it's supposed to be dealt with within 60 days. We now are sitting here, so it's a rather simple improvement, but there appears to be no plan to correct. So So it's up to you all to decide what you want to do, but a denial would be a way to sort of maybe bring it back forward, or at least give the property owner a chance to avoid further action, right?
Could we leave it the way it is, and if there's going to be further improvements to the building, that any further improvements to that building would have to include those windows up on top? That they would be not denied unless those windows were put in? Is that possible?
I don't
I
know,
don't
can
know.
you do that?
Yeah. It,
Probably not.
the whole thing with the process, we waited in good faith.
Yeah, I know.
Because we were told there's a letter coming back, Sue Leahy contacted them, there was a number of emails back and forth. And is that our fault? I guess it is, but we're just people that trust other people.
We tried.
We
had
did.
no answers.
And again, to me, I don't like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I don't like Ludd's answer of, it's too far down the road to do anything. We can't, in my eyes, we just can't let people do this. We have guidelines, which I believe should have been put in an ordinance, but then again, we were told by Ludd that we can't do that for whatever reason. I don't know. I didn't understand that night when Ludd was here that we couldn't do
The give
that.
and take.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's up to our body to what we want to do. I mean, I think the process needs to be played out. I think
Well, whatever we do would end up in the council anyway, correct?
it will go to council. Yeah. Or if we don't do anything, apparently then she can keep the windows. But that doesn't show good faith to all the other people that we made them. We told them you have to put in arch top windows.
Right.
Or whatever the opening is. If it's a squared off opening, you just put in a square top window.
Right.
First happened to be arch
How
top.
do we avoid going forward to have this happen again?
I would say that the motion has to be a clean motion, an approval or a denial. You know, anytime you have a contingency or something, or you don't have someone in the room agreeing to that, you tend to open yourself up to this very situation.
What if?
I don't remember if we even, it's so long ago, if we even had a picture of those windows.
I think we did have some pictures, we had some renderings.
The
of some
old
pictures.
windows that
Yeah.
were there, and I think it was the old ones that were boxed in.
Yeah, boxed in.
And then we said, we approve it as long as they put in the arch top windows. Well, then we know what
To
happened
follow
the
the
next
frame.
And
day.
they did.
Yeah,
So then they didn't, it would be like, I mean, they didn't do the right thing here.
correct, and they
So-
never got a building
But then they
permit.
said they were going to do the right thing.
Well,
Did they
that's.
know?
Well, yeah, they said they checked, they're gonna check on it.
Yeah, but was it in black and white anywhere?
Well, I
Yeah,
think
they never
emails.
said the arch top
I mean, is
windows,
it
they also
pro-
never necessarily said the square top windows either. There was maybe one slight rendering that showed the square top windows, but it was never really clear that that was what's going to be
Yeah,
installed, so. We were not necessarily given the full amount of information we needed to make the decision.
Was this approved by council? I mean, this,
No, it
No.
never, it's so.
No.
so it never got to council.
It never, because it never got.
There's no reason.
well, it never got to permit
It
issue.
never got a
Yeah.
certificate of appropriateness.
So it's,
Because they never got a permit to do the job.
No.
Correct, yeah.
So, I mean, they violated this one, and they violated not getting a permit to do the work,
Yeah, in getting, you know,
which didn't have anything to do with us.
the permit, right, not getting a permit is doubling the permit fee, so that's like a $200 fine,
Yeah,
right?
right.
That's not gonna be enough to make somebody spend another
Yeah.
few thousand bucks to do arch
Right.
top windows, so that, you know, I believe the permit's still sitting back there,
Right.
right? And that's kind of water off a duck's back, because the permit wasn't
Yeah.
even that,
Right.
it was like a $50 permit. You know, wasn't.
so do we know, is the owner live in Ripon? Do we know him? Is that, I mean, it's not, I'm just asking. If the people are from Ripon?
I,
Vicky, yes, she's,
Yeah.
she.
Well, I remember,
she's-
like, as I remember, it was weirdly the renter that was the applicant on the application, if I remember correctly.
That would be odd.
Yeah, it was odd.
Yeah.
I remember that was sort of like an oddity I remember from that application.
I'm glad I asked that question. That's a simple fix. If someone like me would do it, but I'd have to know who it was and whatever.
Yeah.
I said I did it 17 times over here on the building, just with glass. Just saying, there are ways if someone wanted to try to communicate to them if they.
This isn't like an extreme fix. I mean, it's just a matter of taking something out and putting a piece of glass in.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
nothing.
why are we having trouble with this? I don't understand why they
Because
don't
it's
want
just
it.
muddled up.
I don't understand why they don't want to do it.
A cost.
And the other thing is, okay, why would anybody want to do anything? What is our recourse here?
We don't
You
have
know,
one.
I mean,
exactly, that goes back to us
Not,
not having any, I mean, it's a guideline,
right.
so,
But there is a violation of any provision of the Historic Preservation Code that is a $35 per day separate violation, you know, per.
that's what
So
I'm
there's-
worried about, a
There's
violation.
a violation. The challenge here is the process
Has been
didn't
dragged out.
afford the person an opportunity to avoid or to get it approved and go through kind of the appeal process. You know, if the council says, yep, go ahead, then you're not gonna find them after that.
Right.
So, you know, that never happened. And
because we were waiting.
Because we kept waiting.
Wait.
and I
to do the
think
right
John's
thing.
point is right, it was a good faith effort, but reading back on everything,
Yeah,
in the summary, it has become very clear
they're not gonna do it.
that this was not
Yeah.
But
going
we
to
almost
happen.
knew that. That's why we kept asking. But it all also had to come down to the permit, no permit and working. So we stayed out of it and allowed Sue to do it. Whoever could try to do it.
I would really like to have a discussion and have Lud put some legal pressure on them.
Yes. I mean, that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's
to get
a-
it
if there's a
That's what, he's our
fine,
city attorney, he should stand up for it, even though it dragged out a year and a half.
Yeah,
We were waiting in good faith.
Right.
I'm sure there's Sue Leahy, the old inspector, has emails when she, you know,
right.
you send a guy an email and yes, 30 days later something comes, or 45 or whatever,
Yeah.
but we were waiting in good faith
Right.
for it.
Well, obviously, they're not gonna do it, which I don't believe we've ever had that happen before. So,
I guess
We
make a
gotta-
motion to deny.
what is that going to do?
I think theoretically, the next step it's almost like a reset of the clock. And it
Yeah.
says, you have been denied. Do you want to take this to set a public hearing and go from there, right? So there's a 45-day window to set a public hearing, which would
Okay.
occur at the common council if they so choose to do that.
All right.
If not, then it becomes you're in violation, and either resubmit a certificate of appropriateness that has the appropriate windows, or
Okay.
face further action, however that may be
Okay.
directed, which could be a $35 per day fine.
Starting,
Well,
we do.
I don't know if we want to go back.
I would go back a year and a half.
We could start.
It wouldn't bother me one bit.
right.
But at least starting from probably after that 45 day.
Yeah, whenever there's a resolution, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's just,
Okay,
So it's,
so I second the motion.
Okay.
So,
Motion by Lynn.
so now, we vote on, you know, just if we, you know, once we vote, if we vote to deny, then it goes to the building inspector and they give them so much time, or? how
yeah,
does
we'll
it-
communicate what has
Okay.
happened with the property owner, because at this point, the contractor, like I said, is long gone. It's the
Yeah.
property owner, and the building, the company was never going to be fined, never, it's always on the property owner.
Right.
You know, the
Right.
contractors.
And probably the contractor might not have been aware that this was a historic property, and they needed to do
Like,
something.
like
That's why-
said, anybody.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
why every year I have to, or every couple of years, I have to be state certified. You have to take extra hours of classes, and you're insured. Contractors know that.
Yeah.
It's a cop-out when they say, I wasn't aware. Well, why didn't you ask? You know,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, of course, also
right.
the other thing is that there was
No,
never.
you can't just say
that the- as
plead
you said, the
ignorant.
That's, it's,
the
This is-
permit wasn't asked for
this is
until
all on the
after
owner.
windows actually
I-
arrived.
And the owner is not local.
this was just a
I think she
sneak
lives
for-
like in Marcus.
You know, it's-
Okay.
Goes to Palos Park, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
It says Wembley LLC.
Doesn't matter where she's from.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
but
Here,
just say
she
it
live out of
isn't somebody
state,
local.
but they still need to comply with the downtown code, so, you know, I think we're going in the right direction by denying it, so.
Okay. Well, there's a motion by Matt, second by Dave, to deny the certificate of appropriateness for 107 Watson Street.
Okay,
Any more discussion?
so we were denying the original application. Okay.
But we accepted it, right?
Well, we did, but now we're
Non-contingent.
denying, yeah.
Yeah, because it was
Certificate
contingent,
of-
now we're denying because they didn't fulfill their,
So we have to add that in with it, why we're denying it. With explanation why.
Deny original application because of non-compliance.
There you go.
Compliance.
Perfect, yeah,
Correct. Just trying to get us,
yeah, good,
Mhm.
good point.
it is.
being, you know, home, you know, owner of property too, I want to be sure that it's, understand what the wording is, but they obviously wouldn't, I think they obviously know. That's a done deal. You know.
Any more discussion?
Wow, that's weird.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Who made the motion? You made the motion.
Matt did,
Chairman.
yep, and Dave seconded.
And Dave second.
Southwest Historic District signage. Did you-
We haven't gotten. to
Okay,
it.
that's fine, I'll keep that on again.
Waiting for better weather.
Yeah.
Spring. Next week,
Spring, or
probably.
Monday.
Next week, possibly.
What do you mean, it was in the 70s last week? Oh, wait, I wasn't here, never mind.
Yeah, you were probably in,
Palm Beach,
yes.
looking for money.
Number 10, perfect time to throw this out there, discussion to change guidelines to a building code. Should we still pursue any of that to make it so this problem doesn't come up again?
I think we should, because we have the opportunity to do it.
I don't know if the words are building code or if we need to,
Update the guidelines, the other thing, that's the other.
yeah. I mean, the
other question
guidelines
I have
are,
is, like, I think Ripon has recently done their own historic district. I'm not sure where they are on their guidelines. I'm just wondering if there's a possibility of, because we have very similar architectural,
Mhm.
that if we could buddy up on developing some guidelines.
oh, education is one thing, but I think everybody downtown by now really should know that it's a historic district.
And we've talked that
This commission
education thing
is-
over through the newspaper, we
Yeah.
haven't really got anywhere with that.
Mhm.
You know, they were gonna run some ads and it's just never happened.
But I'm still confused because I did have a meeting quite a while ago with Lud and Adam and Sue Leahy at the time. And Lud said craft an ordinance. So Sue Leahy and I did, and then we had that there at that meeting a couple months ago, and Lud said we can't do that. So I'm still confused on why we could and why we can't now. To make it something that we can have some teeth into it, as they say.
Well, for that, can we get him to our next meeting? Submit it to him to have him come in?
We can, or Adam or I can call Lud and see if he can,
Adam?
Yeah, or Bill. Adam's right.
I'm not sure what we're looking to do here. I mean, do we have authority here? Yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, it still has to go through the council.
council, yes.
Yeah,
And
which is an elected body.
Mhm.
And most of the time, they respect our decisions here.
Mhm.
So it's not broke. What are we fixing?
Well, he was
What-
trying to get it through to us to make some changes.
Yeah, like this, this is the perfect one, them not doing the window
Mhm.
downtown. I mean, I don't see how that would have, what would we have done differently with a new guidelines that they still would have done the exact same thing. We would still be in the exact same position right now.
Yeah, except like what Adam's point is,
Time
what we should have, done instead of waiting in good faith,
Yes,
we should have at our next meeting denied it,
yes,
set a public hearing,
yes.
all that. But again,
Lesson learned.
yeah.
We would have done that anyway, though.
Mhm.
So, waited. Whether we
Right, I
had the
think we-
authority or not.
Yeah,
So I'm not too sure what we're asking for here. I do like an elected body making
the
the
final.
final decision
Yeah.
on something like this. I always have. I mean, and if you look at the other committees, I mean, as council members, we respect their decisions
Mhm.
for the most part, and I believe the council runs trouble with that. So I guess I'm not seeing,
To me, it's how to enforce it.
Yeah.
How to enforce the guidelines. That's the problem that I have, is to enforce that somebody has to put in the archtop windows. How do we enforce it? Yes, I know there's a process of the building permit, the
yeah,
denial. Maybe it would come down to the end and the person would do it anyways.
right,
I don't know how it would hold up in court,
yeah. I
and
don't
that's,
know. And again, I believe that's above our pay grade here.
right, it is. Yeah.
So,
Oh, this committee. for
yeah,
sure.
I think we're doing our due diligence here. We all have historic homes, we know what we're doing here. We know what we're looking for downtown. I think downtown appreciates what we do. Council appreciates what we do. I don't see where it's broken.
Okay.
I'm just going by
that's-
memory from when Lud was here, when he was doing this with give and take.
Yeah.
And it's like we're getting too nitpicky. And I think that he was right in some points, maybe we were too nitpicky, because it might not have been our real choice or capability to even do it before in our past. We're trying to be historic.
We're trying to save
And-
the
and- and
architectural
maybe we
features.
get a little
Right.
nitpicky, but nevertheless, the bottom line is, it leaves here and it's out of our hands.
Right.
And it can be overturned, just
Mhm.
like that.
Yes.
We know it.
Yeah.
We've lived it.
But I know, and if the people in the city don't like what the elected body's doing, we know how that works too.
But then, yeah, it can be too late then, though.
Yeah, well, it can be, but at the same time, what if it happens,
Steve?
Yeah, may I interject? Without having this committee have an ordinance, or, what do you call it, the sheets that we have, the stuff that we have, are just
Guidelines,
suggestions.
yeah, guidelines.
And if it's an ordinance instead of just a suggested guideline, at least there's where you're gonna have your teeth, and the rules will have to be followed to be this way.
That's what we were,
And I
That's
think
what we were
this is
trying to
where
go for.
you're
that's what we were
trying to go for.
And change some wording so we.
Because without having an ordinance for the city to follow, or people to follow from the city that own
Okay.
buildings,
don't we have that down?
you're kind of toothless Huh?
Don't we have that now?
No,
I
we
mean,
don't, because it
we-
was never accepted through.
We
the
have an
town
ordinance
council.
that says we have to follow these steps.
Right,
And like you're saying.
Guidelines.
If it's denied here, it goes to council, and we have that
Right.
procedure. But we don't have anything that we can enforce that they have to put in archtop windows, or they cannot take out the cast iron columns, or, down the list it goes.
okay, yeah, now.
So like you're saying, we could say the lady wanted to take out the cast iron columns in the front of her building. We deny it, it goes to council, and we hit,
College,
and
yes.
the cast iron columns are gone.
Yes, but here,
And then it just snowballs.
I would have no problem finding ways to keep downtown as much. You gotta be careful, because if you make it too hard, you're not gonna have anybody go downtown and buy a building until it's ready to collapse.
I don't find that true.
Not anymore.
No, people,
It's all the rage right now. But you go back in time and it wasn't, which is why we got some of the buildings looking the way we do. And that time is gonna circle around again. So, I guess I'll look at the long, let's look at the long game here. And this council's made up of people appointed by a mayor. So if you get the wrong mayor in there that does not respect the downtown area, he could make this a disaster on its own. So, you can look at it either way. So, because he, and I'm not picking on Ted, I think Ted obviously picked people that want, because we all here want to do the right thing. But that's not to say when Ted leaves and somebody takes over, and then it would just take one guy to say, well, I don't care about that. And then you have this body that's very strong that can basically let anything go.
right, and
So,
that,
so either way, it could fail either way.
to me, I know your point, but to me, if somebody wants to buy a building and erase history, I don't want them downtown. I don't care what, if they put gold in the front of that building, I don't
Right.
care. I want people that are like-minded,
Yep,
that want to keep the basic architectural features.
yep. I agree.
We don't go on color, and we've laxed our rules on, instead of wood windows, they can put in an aluminum window or a vinyl clad window. But again, I don't want that person in this city.
Right, I agree.
Why don't they come anyway? Because you lose out, they're in business to make money. And if the building's offensive, you obviously are gonna, it's
Yeah,
gonna backfire.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And what's happening in Ripon, it is progressive, and you're right, so it will change in time and like that.
Yeah.
But right now, the move is about as best as it's ever been
But
in a
it's-
Yeah,
long time.
to protect downtown.
And we need
So why change something?
Why change it?
To
Yes.
protect it, so we can
Sure.
protect those.
But we're doing that now.
Well, partially.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's a way to, that we think is a better way to protect it, I'm all in. But be careful what you ask for on this, because if you give, I don't like seeing any one particular place have undue power. And I think putting too much power on this committee could be a problem, because it's an unelected.
There's rules every time I walk out that door.
Yeah,
There's city ordinances, you can't spit on the sidewalk. You only can have 3 dogs. You can only,
Yeah.
you have
Oh,
to
there's
stop down
ordinance.
there at the stop and go light.
yeah, there's all kinds
And
of.
having rules downtown,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
just rules
right.
that
Well,
they have to follow.
yeah, we have rules though. And like I say, I'm all in. If we want to tweak things, if we want to look at, I'm all in for looking at things like this. And, looking at it from what we have here, I'd be all in with us making decisions, because we have 5 people here that care deeply about historic preservation and are knowledgeable on it. But I worry about the next set of people that could possibly be in here.
Well, they'd have
That's
to go
what we
through the
gotta watch
paperwork
for.
and change it, just like we're
Yeah.
gonna
Right.
maybe do.
Right.
But that's their
And
problem.
they could, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
This
They-
is now, and that's
Yeah,
whatever.
you could,
Yeah, I can't predict the future, so.
right. I'm just saying to be careful. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying, let's be careful what we do.
And we weren't even asking for everything. We just had a basic set of certain items we wanted to keep
Yeah,
that they couldn't take out. And,
Well, and then all the things that we're after are the historical features.
right.
and we made that nice list.
Mhm.
I mean, it's all there, and it's not,
Well, that's,
and it's a good guideline to go by, and I think the council respects it.
Well, if you remember I'll just say Ted Grant's
Yep,
went to council. The consensus I got from council after it got overturned was, if you come up with something solid, they would go for it.
yes.
And so we did. We came up with something solid, but then we were turned down by Ludd, that we can't do that.
yeah,
At that,
Yeah,
a gray area where we should have been more aggressive and done it right away, and that sort of thing that he talked to us
Yeah, but
about.
we can only be so aggressive without an ordinance.
right.
Exactly.
right.
So
Mhm.
you're powerless in that sense.
Yeah, right.
Can I just,
Sure.
sorry, so there's a couple things here, right? There's the current framework that you have, right? And how that gets implemented, and how consistent that is. And there are all these things. There are penalties, there's process, there's timelines in the ordinance. The guidelines are listed in the ordinance as this is what is the basis of what you do, right? To go in and put in a ordinance like was drafted essentially contradicts that ordinance and says, we don't need this anymore because we have an ordinance that says you have to follow these things. There's no discretion, there's no flexibility. It's this way, based on the ordinance, or no way, right? And in terms of the balance, the give and the take of projects, right? There has to be on some level some give and take, right? To go 100% preservation could be a problem. If somebody wants to buy a building and do a $20 million demo and rebuild downtown, right? And it's, nope, you can't tear down a historic structure in the downtown, but wait a second, they're gonna build something back that reflects it and spend so that's an extreme, right?
Right.
But that is where you say, okay, you put it into an ordinance, this body isn't necessarily then, what are you here for, right? You're not reviewing anything, you passed an ordinance and follow the ordinance, right?
Right.
But then you put people, property owners, into downtown with a code that says you gotta follow this. And that has impacts, right? Whether it's cost, whether it's materials, whether it's whatever it may be. The guidance I think Ludd was providing was, it's really not broke. I think it just needs to be revisited. And we've talked about this, I've been here 4 years, right? We've talked about redoing the guidelines at least 5-6 times, right? And reviewing those and making them more approachable because
Yes.
they are not, if I gave you a copy today and said, tell me what it says on what page, you would all start flipping to where, right? I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
it's a challenge. Now, getting it to be something that reflects what you want to preserve down there and having it as a digestible item for people to review, because yeah, if I'm just a business owner and I want to redo my windows, I just call a contractor, say do it. If they don't know by the time they order it, right, the last thing they're looking at is the historic manual. Hopefully somebody knows about it, or they talk to Craig and you get it ahead of time,
Right.
right? But sometimes people just move because they're not concerned about
Right.
what you're doing. They're just trying to fix their problems.
Right.
Or improve their property within a budget that they have set. So to put in an ordinance that contradicts the rest of preservation in what has been designed, I would just say we gotta be careful with that.
Yep.
And focusing on the manual and maybe some tweaks or revisions in the ordinance to be more clear may be an approach that then you send the manual to the council to say, here's what we've put together. Please review it and give us your blessing over that, right? And I think that you then put yourself in a better position to, when you have those give and take moments, or those moments where you say, we're gonna stand up against this one because it doesn't make sense, or it's not what we're trying to, you have the backing of the council, and you have people more willing to comply up front because they know that it's been worked through.
Right.
Craig had Joel Lozaniak from the state look at the design manual, and he drafted some things to make recommendations, and he does preservation, and so that's in an inbox, I think, of Craig's to say what recommended changes could be made to enhance the manual. And just my general understanding of it is the manual isn't necessarily bad. There's a lot of great things in there, and it's referenced in here, and there's a process to get permits and to comply with it. So focusing, I think, on that would probably be maybe a better starting point than saying, let's put together an ordinance that essentially replaces what we've done over the last 20 years.
Right. Yeah.
Because after 20 years, it's still looking pretty darn good, guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessarily failing in total,
Right.
but there are gonna be situations where there has to be a give and a take, because if not, you may lose something pretty important.
Right. Yeah, there's some buildings down there that, could you say they're compliant? No. Are they excellent for this community? Yes. So, yeah, I agree, tweaking. I think there's questions, and we shouldn't really have that many questions. And I think educating the owners downtown, and we're not doing that as well as we should, just by these people buying the window. If they would have known ahead of time, maybe this never would have happened. So I think outreach there with the local owners is would be a big help. Because I believe everyone that owns a building down there wants it to increase in value, and this is obviously the way it's going to increase in value. Not putting up a pole barn, tearing down an historic building and putting up a pole barn. So finding a way to get the owners on board with helping themselves would go a long way. I think we somehow dropped the ball on this owner for this to happen. Because I think this group is very easy to get along with. As far as somebody coming in here wanting to do something, we'll work with anybody.
Right.
So, and we have that reputation of we will work with anyone.
That's what's frustrating.
Yeah.
Well,
So I
We think we know what we're doing, but we
Yeah.
seem like we don't.
Yeah.
I'm not quite understanding what we need to do then, Adam. I mean, I understand what you brought it forward, and that's what I was saying with the give and the take. Do we need to do any revision work on that?
Oh, I think there's certainly stuff you could do revisions to, just based on the time I've been around, right? You've issued certificates of appropriateness to things that don't have any guideline in your manual, you know?
Right.
And what do you really want to focus on? And what things since the last, because John, do you know when the last manual was done?
25 years ago, probably.
Yeah, so things have changed a little, I
Yeah.
would assume.
Yeah.
but-
Does
but-
it really matter though? It's historic preservation.
it doesn't, you know, I mean,
It doesn't that much, I mean,
Yeah.
if you wanna get nitpicky on where we say you have to use wood,
Yeah.
well, nowadays, we have PVC, we have aluminum clad, you know, we could change wording like that.
Right,
The basic is still there.
right.
Also, it gets a little bit verbose and repetitive because
I think that's,
Technology helps too, because they make stuff now it looks just like.
Well, it's lifetime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And no one can tell, well, you guys could tell the difference, but I mean, most people would look at it and think, wow, look at that old building.
But
And
that's, we're good with that.
Yeah,
We're more than good.
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect.
So tweaking those kind of things, so to say, you know, that you have to have everything made out of wood.
Right, that's
Yeah.
outdated.
Yeah, it's
That is,
outdated,
that's,
so,
right,
yeah,
and we would,
stuff like that, you
even
would
though
have
that's
to
in the
change.
manual, we
So-
could say, no, you don't have to
Right,
use wood.
so that's okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so updating stuff like that with the newer technology that we have, we should, I think we should look at it every couple of years and tweak it, and it hasn't been tweaked in a while, so we should really take a good look at it, and
What I can do is get a hold of Craig T-Bon and see what Joe, I can't pronounce his last name, he's from the state.
just vaguely remembering, you know, his opinion of it was that it's like 80% there, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not, you don't have to,
right.
so,
So let's do a few tweaks and call it a day.
and I think take it to the council and publicize it and get
Yeah.
the, you know, right?
Yeah.
Get the buy-in from everybody and say,
Yep.
this is approved, right?
Yeah.
And
I'll see when Craig's got some time to meet with me.
Okay.
I'm sure
And then-
tons.
Well, yeah, he was pushing snow today.
You would have been
Well,
here. but
save
you
me
had-
some time.
You had to go to church.
I skipped church
Yeah,
today.
you didn't.
I thought it was cash.
Cash.
Oh, it was ash.
Ash, yeah.
Well, just take, just
I was
take
hoping
the-
Don't
somebody
take your
just put
cash,
some
just take the
$100
C
on it
off.
for us.
Yeah.
Because I was.
Okay, well, we'll leave it as, I'll get a hold of T-Bon, we'll work on the
Okay.
design manual. I do want to, as long as we're still, you know, talking about, I want him to, or Lud to push whatever he can with those windows.
Yep,
And we'll see how far that goes.
yep.
Everybody good on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Then we can go to tax credits for historic homes. Matt?
Yeah, I guess Paul Porter is going to be doing a presentation. It's April, do you remember? It's late April.
April
I want
20th.
to say the 18th, 13th, somewhere. Maybe I'd be wrong.
I thought I saw the 25th.
It's the 25th.
I don't know though.
Yeah, we have it in the Historic Preservation newspaper, or Historical Society newspaper.
Yeah, I got
already.
that online. Is it?
Okay, so
And
it's
we're
already
looking-
there, but we need to
What day
know
was
what
it?
location.
April 25th?
Oh, April 25th, let's see here. Actually, let me see if I can get to the website. Let's see here. If I know what that
Because my memory isn't that good.
You looking for the historic preservation thing?
No, Historical Society.
Society
Yeah, the
We're
meeting.
co-oping
is
with
April
you.
24th,
24.
7 PM, TBA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're still trying to figure out, like, I guess like one of the meetings that we had for something like this some years ago was a packed house.
Mhm.
So we're thinking about having it at the Ripon High School's auditorium, just so we have the space that
Mhm.
if we have hundreds of people come.
Would City Hall, the council chambers isn't big enough, you don't think? I
It
don't know.
could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I say, that's why I was here.
Yeah.
Was I was trying to find out where we're gonna
Yeah.
go with this, so they
Yeah.
could finish
Well,
up on their.
Probably Karen Cisco is probably going to get some of the final
Okay,
details.
well, we'll just,
Well, first of all, I wanna know if we wanna have it here, or you want us to follow through and go to the school. So you guys make your decision so that we can,
I'll let that Karen Cisco
Yeah.
decide. I'll let you guys decide.
all right.
Because you're gonna do more of, you set it up anyways through the state.
Well,
No.
yeah, generally, the last time we had over 100 people.
Okay,
Our building can't handle 100 people.
right.
But, like I said, the
You know how
depends
much
on
that
who's
holds?
gonna show up too.
I can go look. I think it's
You
only
can't
like,
see.
I think it's like 970 to 90.
Okay.
I don't think it's
But what's
that.
at the Parks and Rec?
The
building?
the senior
The
center,
new
the
one.
senior activity center, you could use canoes, you could use, the Ripon Challenge.
You know,
watching,
canoes
do you
would be
wanna
nice upstairs.
record it?
Well,
Too?
the thing is the.
But probably,
if you're
we're also gonna be
recording
just
thing,
recording it for the Historical Society as
Okay.
well, so.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we can record it, that'd be awesome.
what we could do is, well, we'll pursue the school because that's where we had it last time and I know the parking is good, as long as they
That's
don't
true.
have something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, the school will let us do that for free, knock on wood.
Is that like a Wednesday night or Thursday night?
Thursday it's typically,
Thursday?
but.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as they don't have anything going on in there, you know, that would be,
You got that
Probably a
many
better
people that
place.
go to this thing.
yeah.
How many?
There's gonna be that many people.
Well, it could be. They're gonna invite, well, downtown people, correct? And then that district,
Yeah.
Well, the
Tiger Street
districts-
District and Southwest, so.
Well,
you could
I guess
get-
our idea was to invite everyone, but I guess now we're just going to do a lot of blanket advertising with the
Right, yeah.
newspapers.
Okay, so if you guys want to, well, we'll pursue the school thing.
It
Okay.
doesn't matter to
And
me.
the reason is for the PowerPoint
Yeah.
Well, you got
situation
parking, you got
because-
entry level, flat, no
Yeah.
steps.
Yep.
All right, well, I just wanted to know which way you guys wanted to go
That's
with
fine.
that, because,
I'll put it on agenda again, and then you might have more information
Yeah.
next month.
yeah, and Matt and I can talk about
Yeah.
this too, because obviously we're on the Historical Society board.
Yeah.
So, and I'll talk to Karen tomorrow about it, so that we can start getting this on the calendar, or find out if we cannot use that facility.
Yeah,
Canoes was a good suggestion, but you know you're gonna pay for it, you're gonna pay for that to use it generally.
but he might, I don't know.
Yeah,
In
the
the
thing
church
is
basement?
he doesn't have a TV or anything in there that he
Yeah.
can do a PowerPoint in there. And that's generally what, like Paul, or even that, lady that came last time, she had a PowerPoint, presentation, so.
The senior
from the
activity
state.
center has a drop down and it's got a hearing loop and
Okay.
a PA system too, so if you don't,
Okay.
you know.
That
so
holds
could
over
be-
100, right?
Yeah, it could. probably-
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that might
The
even
senior
be in
center.
the other
That's what I
suggestion.
said,
would be-
that's what I just
Right.
said.
If it holds over 100 people, we'll be safe.
Yeah.
I just don't wanna be, and have the parking.
That's-
I
yeah,
just
there's
don't wanna be in a
parking there.
situation where, like,
Yeah.
I'd like
the
to use that.
Historical
if we
Society
could.
can
Senior
hold a bunch of
center.
people, but not that many.
Yeah,
You know,
we
we
let
must
you
go there
use
all the
it
time.
For
I need
free.
a refresher.
Don't you?
And technically, we're the co-sponsor of this.
Well, no, that's why
I
I'm
haven't done
trying
anything since my
to
roof.
coordinate this as president of the, what a joke. Yeah, he
By
said-
default,
Yeah.
yeah, they all sat there.
Everyone had to put their
They
finger
all,
to his
yeah,
nose.
they all looked at me, okay.
Got it.
Yeah. There I was standing with a bucket of cement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Okay, yeah, I'll put it back on the agenda for next month. By April, you're gonna have,
Yeah.
you'll know for sure.
yeah, but we want to be able to advertise.
Advertise,
where-
yeah.
Where we're going with this.
And you'll let me know
Oh, yeah, we'll
as
talk
soon as,
about it.
yeah. Okay, next meeting date,
Second.
April 2nd.
ooh, April Fool's almost.
6:30. Okay, we're ready for adjournment.
Make a motion. Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Dave, second by Matt to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sound like an old man.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm the oldest guy in the company.
never mind.
Have you got an idea when you might want to spin by?
Well,
I
Matt,
can
Dave,
spin by tomorrow.
Okay,
welcome back.
that'd be good.
Yeah,
Happy
we'll
to
take a look, see